Hello, friends. It is still August 12th, and I am still that developer dad. And I am building an NPC generator using C# and dotNet. And I'm starting to bring in some SqlServer. And I brought in a local language model. And we're using a Blazor, ASP.NET Blazor application for the front end, and we're starting to get things stitched together quite nicely. I do have a couple of side quests that I need to finish figuring out before we actually get the save function working the way we want it to, which is to say at all. And the first thing I want to look up, I was actually going to try and resolve it during the break in between this morning and now, but I figured, you know what, let's get this stuff sorted out on stream. Let's do some actual research. So in Blazor, how do I show an error message? How to display error details within Blazor error UI element. Okay. I'm not using WebAssembly, so let's go back. Blazor, and let's say .NET 8, Blazor, sure. Handle errors in ASP.NET Core Blazor apps. And we'll go to Microsoft Learn for this because it's actually significantly better user experience than many of the other things that I've dealt with here. And let's go to the live. Detailed errors during development, detailed circuit errors for Razor component server-side rendering, and manage unhandled exceptions in developer code. Excuse me. As part of the Blazor project templates. Use the data snippet, environment tag helper. Support of the Razor components, by host environment, blah, 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 blah. Error has occurred. Reload, dismiss, okay. I believe we've got all that stuff. I'm just going to pull this over here real quick and take a look at the layout page. Is it an app? Body routes, script source, yeah. Okay, so it's not an app. Might it be in our main layout? There we go. Blazor error UI, an unhandled error has occurred. Okay, so we've got all that stuff. Good. Operating over a circuit. Don't include the call stack, yeah. Logging, log level, blah, 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 blah. I don't want to send detailed errors down to the client. Razor components, options.detailed errors. No. Unhandled exceptions in developer code. Error handling logic, disclose sensitive information, blah, 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 blah. I should pull this over here. I'm not dealing with a circuit. Alternative global exception handling applies to Blazor server. Okay. Well, what am I doing in my page model? Like, there's stuff going on in here. Oh, that's in the NPC access provider. Let's look at the page model. Here we go. And we're throwing the exception. but it doesn't seem to be showing up. Let's delete all our breakpoints. Yes, go away. And I'm going to drop one right here. And we're going to hit play because I know we're going to get an exception. Because there's something goofy with that password I'm using. So we'll generate our AI description. And I want to make sure it's actually doing what it says it's supposed to do. Sometimes it takes the LLM a minute or so to start thinking. And off it goes. Finnegan the Fisher. That's funny. Finnegan's a good name for a halfling. You know, we can see that it's going and going and going and running and so on. It's chewing up the tokens. And doing the things. Come on. All right, so we've got all that stuff. It's happening. And let's save the townsperson. And we got an error. I know what the error is. Could not save the NPC. The actual, let's see here, we should have a logger. Razor logger output. Tests. Surprising, could be an old request that wasn't canceled. What's all that? That's not what I'm looking for. What about debug? Here we go. Microsoft.data.SQL exception. Login filled for user GH user data. The password of the account must be changed. Okay. And what happens after we throw? Yeah. The whole thing loses its little mind. Okay. Has exited with code 0. I'm going to have to figure out how to capture and use that error. Okay, so I need to change the password on that connection or for that user. And for that, I got to come out here to my, not just my tables, but I actually have to alter the login. So I'm going to pop down here to GH user data. We're going to go to the properties. And the password. I hope that's a long enough password. You know what? I'm going to come over here. whoops, I'm going to copy it, paste it, and paste it, and say OK. And then I'm going to flip the screen back to single cam focus while I update my connection string in the config, because the internet is forever. Let's paste that, save, close, bring this back, and I want to go into my access provider, and let's put a breakpoint on save changes async. Run the app again. And we'll go here, generate the AI description. We'll wait for it to come back. Do. And we'll make sure the LLM is thinking. It's getting ready to think. All right. Alenia Leaf Whisperer, or Whisper. Alenia's a gender ambiguous elf who was a cook, started off life as a hermit. Silky green hair and a light brown complexion. For some reason, the LLM thinks they're retired even though they're not retired. That's weird. Keen eye for detail, honed by years of meticulous cooking. My fellow elves, due to their unconventional lifestyle and talent for cooking, Alenia found solace and purpose in the kitchen. Okay. Now runs a humble tavern where patrons praise her culinary skills. I'ma push the button. Save that townsperson. I'm gonna step over this. Boink. Oh my gosh. NPC ID 1. Let's continue. And we're back to where we were. Let's see if there's anything in the database. Select count a star from characters. We have one. Star from userdata.NPCs. Make it so. We have an elf cook. They, them, theirs. Full name is Alenia. Yes, we have. Fantastic. So that's good stuff. We are successfully saving the NPC. And what does that mean? It means it's time to stop the application. And I'm going to come in here. Adds the save NPC capability implemented against SqlServer. Now, do I have any GitHub stuff going for this? Oh, come on, Rob. GitHub. Come in here. projects, GM Tools MVP, committed. Oh yeah, I don't think I even created an issue for this. I'm a bad developer. I am a bad project manager. Add item. Save NPCs to a database. Let's come in here and describe this. Let's convert it to an issue in the GM Tools project. Edit, implement against SqlServer, running in a Docker container locally. If we rehost into the cloud, we'll use the free SqlServer stuff that Azure makes available. I'm going to save that. Assign myself. This is a little bit of infrastructure and some coding. And that's all she wrote. And this is number 67, issue 67. And we're about to commit it. Issue number 67. And let's commit everything. All right, that's all committed. I'm going to push this up to the server. Off you go. And I'm going to pull this guy over to committed. Add item. Create a view that lists the NPCs that are available to us. Populate that from the database. Save. Whoops. Let's turn this into an issue. I'll assign myself because I am all by myself. Convert to issue, GM Tools. Here we go. Edit. Create a new component in the Blazor app that will list the NPCs a user has available to them. Add the ability to filter by species and profession, as well as the user ID. Implement the code to fetch the results of the filter, fetch the NPCs that match the filter from the database. That's where we're going to stop with that feature, because when a user selects a NPC from the NPC index, load the details view, load it into the UI. Come in here, edit the description. When an NPC is selected on the index page, load its description into the details view. We're gonna add me, convert it to an issue. Whoop. Update the comment, now convert it to an issue. On the GM tools, this gets coding. And then finally, I'm going to add one more. And we're not going to have this under in progress because I should only have one work item in progress at a time. But I'm going to add an edit button and corresponding editor control component to the create NPC page. Bam. Assign myself, convert it to an issue, edit this after we're selecting NPC from the list and displaying it. We need to be able to edit the detailed descriptions and re-save those changes back to the database. When a user edits an AI-generated description, we'll make sure to remove the AI tag from it automatically. Save. And this guy is coming right over here underneath the when a user selects. Excuse me. All right. So we're going to be getting into a few things here. I don't like to muddy up my resource access classes with a whole bunch of get by this, get by that, get by the other thing. Because that's just a recipe for an exploding interface. And the things that we want, or the selection criteria that we're going to be specifying frequently changes as users say, hey, I don't often, or as we determine that users don't often search by this field, but they're really reaching for some other field that they want to search by, and so on. So having a million get bys, every public method is another public method to be maintained and versioned and all of that stuff. So I would much rather have a very narrow set of public methods on a access API like we're setting up here, rather than having a whole bunch of methods that basically do the same thing. They're just doing the same thing with slightly different data. So let's go to our contract. So here's this. And I don't want to return back the entire model or anything like that. I think what I want to do, and we're going to shrink that down. We're going to come in here to the NPC access, and let's pin this. So we've got the NPC access model, INPC access. We need a new DTO. Add a class, and it is going to be NpcFilter result. I'm going to make it public. And it's going to have a few properties on it. ID. Now, unlike on the townsperson, where we had to do some funny stuff around the immutability of this property, I don't want ID to be altered outside of the context of saving the NPC. And I certainly don't want it to be altered outside the context of populating this class. And we're going to have public string species get init public string vocation get init do we want user ID or is public yet? No. No, we don't. CTOR. Now we need to add string species, string vocation, vocation, this string.empty, string.empty. Oop, there we go. And that's about all we need there. Now, for our search, I think that's about all we need there. Now, let's add a new class. Yeah. Add class NpcFilter public prop string species prop string nullable location. This is temporary. Once we need to do something fancier for filtering, this will be replaced with a filtering utility filter building utility. Save. I don't feel like starting to build that filter building utility today. Now, we do need to come into INPC access and this operation is going to return a task of op result IEnumerable of NpcFilter result. And it's not going to be load NPC, it's going to be filter NPCs. And it's not going to be taking in an NPC access model. It's going to be taking in an NpcFilter model, or NpcFilter, called filter. Save. Returns an enumerable collection of NpcFilter result objects that match the provided filter. You know what? I'm going to go ahead and make this nullable. No, I'm not. Nope. No, I am not. So let's go to the NPC Access SQL provider. And because F comes before S, public async task of op result of IEnumerable of NpcFilter result. Filter NPCs, NpcFilter, filter. What's all this complaining about? Oh, I probably need to include system.collections.generic. There we go. Now, list of NpcFilter result, filtered NPCs is a new list because whenever we're returning a collection type, never, ever, ever return null. Don't do it. Op result of IEnumerable NPC result equals new one of those result dot result equals filtered NPCs. We're going to come down to the bottom and return result. Now, as I was working with the op result this morning, I started to feel a little oogie about the name of that property, result. I don't want to rename that. I do, however, want to go to the definition, and instead of using the word result, I'm going to change it to payload. And that is going to read a whole awful lot better than it did before, where we would have result.result or whatever. Now, going with my variable naming convention, access result. And it doesn't matter here because we're just locally scoped on that variable name. But when I get out to the townsfolk manager that consumes this, I'm going to call that variable the access result. And then in the API wrapper, or the API, I'm going to call the result from the townsfolk manager the manager result. And then out in the client, it'll be API result, proxy result, and so on out the stack, so that we always know where stuff's coming from, as opposed to using just the same word every time. It's just a little gift to future me, so that when I'm looking at this code again later, I'm not wasting any cognitive cycles wondering where the hell a variable is coming from. So the first thing I need to do is make sure my, oh, that's right, I created a lazy instantiator for the thing, for the DB context. So right now, I'm going to try, because we're about to call a resource that's external to our code. And whenever we do that, we do want to put a seatbelt on the operation. EX. And I'm just going to hop down here to my catch. And even though this is largely the same-ish, I'm just going to go ahead and copy paste it, because I don't want to come up with a more elegant, dry way of dealing with this right now. And this is filter NPCs. Yep. Okay, good. Access result. Okay. There was a problem accessing the NPCs. So what do we do about this filter? Well, First thing we're going to do is create what's called an iQueryable. iQueryable of NpcRowModel query equals ctx dot NPCs, and that's it. Now, the reason I'm doing this with an iQueryable and not a complex link statement here yet is because the properties on that NpcFilter object might be null. And if they're null, we don't want to impose a filter on those. So, what we gonna do is if filter dot new string species filter equals filter.species. Another string, nullable, vocation filter, filter.vocation. Now this is pretty brute force. There are more elegant ways of doing what I'm about to do, but I prefer readability over elegance. So if string dot is null or whitespace, species filter, if that's false, add a where that includes a species match. If string dot is null or whitespace vocation filter is false, add a where fragment for the vocation match. And we're just going to go super easy. It's like if it's specified, we're going to look for an exact match. I don't want anything fancy yet. If I do the filter builder thing later, then we'll talk about getting fancy. So query equals query dot where n for NPC, n dot species name equals species filter. Now, goofy things might happen to the case. So dot to upper, dot to upper. That way we're comparing caps to caps. Query equals query dot where n dot species name dot to upper, not species, vocation, silly head, equals vocation filter dot to upper. And we've got a mistype here, and that's going to bug me later if I don't fix it now. There we go. And there's no need for a comment that says exactly what the code's doing. Do we have a comment up here? No, we do not. Summary retrieves queries the NPC storage for all NPCs that match the filter properties. Here, not Fitler, filter. Sometimes my fingers trip over each other. A collection of nullable properties that will be used to build the where clause of for the NPC query. Okay, now var row models equals query dot to list. Bonk. And then for each we're going to add to our filtered NPCs. But we're going to create an NpcFilter result for each var row in row models NpcFilter result filtered result equals new NpcFilter result. And I need to provide some things. I need to remember what those things are. So I need to pass the species and vocation. I also need to pass the ID. Oh my God. Holy crap. So a friend of ours is growing peppers, and he's got more peppers than he can use. And so September went over to get some, and we've got a couple gallons of peppers. Pounds of peppers. I would say several packs of peppers. I don't know how much a pack is, but okay. So at least a pack. I don't know. That's a pile of peppers. Okay, so we've fixed this up. We're going to come back out to the SQL provider, and we got to provide it with the ID is row.id, and the species is row.species name, and the vocation is row.vocation name, and that's all she wrote there. And I'm thinking forward to how this is going to manifest out on the UI, and all we're going to get from this is a list of, like, we're going to end up with a table with all these rows in it, where the only things in those rows are the matches to the species and vocation. So if somebody specifies Dragonborn Shopkeeper, and they've got like 10 Dragonborn Shopkeeper NPCs that they've made, they're not going to know which one's which. And that's a terrible user experience. So that says to me, we're going to need to alter some more stuff. I think we're going to have to add name to the NPCs table. And maybe later some other things to that table. So let's do this. We're going to come out to userdata.NPCs. We're going to script the table as, oh, I don't like that. Not one bit. So that means I've got to go look up how to add a column, because I don't remember. So let's go here, bring this up, go SqlServer, alter table, insert column. Add columns to a table. I don't want to add them with a table designer. No, sir. Using the alter statement automatically adds these columns to the end of the table. Management Studio, though it isn't recommended. Ew. None of that's wonderful. But since we're still only under development, heck with it. Design. Location name, character details. I'm going to insert a column up here. Character name. Varchar 100. And we are going to allow nulls. But I got to spell the column right. Character name Varchar 100. Okay. I'm going to save my change to the table. Saving changes is not permitted. Can't be recreated or enable the option prevent saving changes that require the table to be recreated. Blah, 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 blah. Fine. Cancel. Get out of here. No, don't save. I'm just going to have to alter table. I can't use insert. Alter table. When I create the, or when I set up the migration scripts that I'm going to need to get this stuff installed in another database, like if I do end up moving to the cloud, then I will, I'll get all of those columns in the correct order at that point. Alter table, userdata.NPCs. I'm not typing in the right place. Alter table, userdata.NPCs. Add character name Varchar 150 null. Go. Great. Let's come over here, execute. There's character name way over there. Excuse me. So good. We've got that. No, go away. So that all works. There is one thing that we should add to our query right off the top. And ctx.npcs dot where n dot deleted date is null. This is probably going to blow up the query because I know there's some goofy stuff around nullable date times. So let's take a look at the NpcRowModel and make sure I've at least marked that as nullable. Okay. I also need to add character name. So we've prepped the row model, or we've updated the table, prepped the row model. I need to come into fillterResult and add string name. We're not going to allow filtering on name, but go to definition because I'm a silly head. String name, string dot empty, name equals name. Here we go. Save all of that. Come back over here. Name gets row dot character name. And if it's null, string dot empty. There we go. Save. Now we can add that to filtered NPCs. Is that right? Yep, filtered NPCs. Dot add filtered result. And then down here, we're returning our access result. Excuse me. Now, we do need to, because we added that new parameter to our save. And I'm going to pick up actually invoking this filter NPC list tomorrow. But I do need to get this character details. I need to add character name equals string dot empty. And I need to add it. We're going to do a get set, and we're going to make this nullable. And I'm not going to set that here because it is nullable. Save that, come back in here, and we got to go into .toRowModel, go to definition, apply inbound changes. Is going to be model.character name equals DTO.character name. Boop. Save that. Let's add it to our DTO as well. DTO.character name equals model.character name. Great. Character name to DTO. And we better do this for toRowModel as well. Model dot character name equals DTO dot character name. Save. So we've got our extensions all set. Save NPC, to row model, apply inbound changes, save async, pluck the ID, send it back. Okay. So now we need to go out to, well, you know what? It's 2 o'clock. Tomorrow, we are going to come in here, down to save and list. To do, fix the transformer method to also map the name to do, add the filter param to the interface, and pass it through to the access component. But we're otherwise just going to leave that not implemented for now. We'll get that tomorrow. So that's it for today. And I thank you for joining or tuning in on the video, on the archived video stream or what have you, after the fact. And I wish you all good day. We'll see you again tomorrow. Bye now.